High alert in the DMV. The house is on fire, and only you have the antidote. First, 5 players are breathing their last air in these OTAs. One of them didn't even set foot on the field in 2024. Their names. I'll drop them in 90 seconds. Second, the explosive duo dubbed Elite by PFF hides cracks. If you missed this analysis, you won't understand why one might fall before the bye week. And third, Brian Robinson Jr. doesn't sleep. His most lethal error isn't even physical. And Adam Peters has already signed his potential successor. Subscribe now, because tomorrow might be too late. Every second counts. Every non-subscriber is a traitor. Are you going to let others decide the future of your team? The upcoming team-organized activities won't just be routine practices. For 5 specific players, they represent their last chance to stay in the NFL. I tell you this directly. When Adam Peters says there's no room for passengers, he means. Howlett Michael Wiley leads this list of doomed players. The running back who shined in preseason last year now finds himself buried in a depth chart that includes Brian Robinson Jr., Austin Eckler, Jeremy McNichols, Chris Rodriguez Jr., and rookie Zachary Krosky-Merritt. Now I ask you, how does Wiley plan to outplay 5 running backs when he barely managed to hit the field last season? Chris Paul on the offensive line faces an even harsher reality. 0 offensive snaps all 2024 season. 30 special. Teams plays. I think those numbers speak for themselves. With the new acquisitions of Laramie Tunsil and Josh Connolly Jr., the space for fringe players has completely evaporated. Bobby Price at cornerback must compete against a revamped group that includes Marshon Lattimore, Mike Sainristil, Noah Igbinoghene, Jonathan Jones, and the draft pick Trey Amos, 5 almost guaranteed cornerbacks. Price needs a miracle in these OTAs to justify a 6th or 7th spot. Andre Jones Jr., as an outside pass rusher, represents everything wrong when a team doesn't trust its draft decisions. A 7th round who barely managed 17 defensive snaps and 1 tackle all season. I tell you this, if you can't make an impact after a whole year in the system, when will you? Finally, Jacoby Jones, as an undrafted receiver, faces the impossible task of standing out in a completely revamped receivers room with Terry McLaurin, Deebo Samuel Sr., Noah Brown, Luke McCaffrey, Jalen Lane, and potentially Michael Gallup secured. The math simply doesn't work in his favor. Do you think any of these 5 players can be saved in the coming weeks? Pro Football Focus just validated what we already knew. Washington has an elite duo of receivers. Terry McLaurin and Deebo Samuel appear in the ranking of the 32 best receivers in the league. But I think there's more to the story behind these numbers. McLaurin ranks 10th, and according to Trevor Sikkema, he leads the entire NFL with 89 receptions in tight coverage since 2020. His accumulated WAR of 1.31 over the last 3 seasons places him 7th among all receivers. Now I ask you, how is it possible that a player with these stats isn't in constant conversations for the Hall of Fame? I tell you, this. McLaurin has been the face of this organization for years, producing at an elite level with questionable quarterbacks. Only Mike Evans, Tyreek Hill, Nico Collins, CeeDee Lamb, Puka Nacua, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, and A.J. Brown are above him. That's true elite company. Samuel ranks at number 30, and although his ranking might seem modest, I believe it represents a golden opportunity. His reception grade of 72.1 in 2024 marked a career low, mainly due to injuries. But with a fresh start in Washington and the chemistry developed with Jaden Daniels, I tell you this ranking severely underestimates his potential impact. The combination of McLaurin and Samuel gives Daniels 2 completely different weapons. McLaurin as the reliable receiver who wins in any situation, and Samuel as the versatile playmaker who can change a game's momentum. Can this duo lead Washington to a conference championship this year? Brian Robinson Jr.'s situation represents everything that's at stake for Washington in 2025. I think Adam Peters sent a clear message by not drafting a running back or signing significant veterans. Robinson has one last chance to prove he can be the starting running back for a playoff team. The reality is brutal, but simple. Robinson started the 2024 season spectacularly, seemingly on track for his first 1,000-yard campaign. but he crumbled at the most critical moment. When the Commanders needed him the most in the final stretch and playoffs, his explosiveness and purpose completely disappeared. Now I ask you, can you trust a running back who fades precisely when the lights are brightest? Robinson is in a contract year, and I tell you this directly. If he can't produce consistently with an improved offensive line that includes Laramie Tunsil, his future in Washington will end in 2026. Internal competition is also intensifying. Austin Eckler brings versatility as a receiver, Jeremy McNichols offers speed, and rookie Jackery Kroski-Merritt arrives hungry to prove his 7th-round selection was a steal. Robinson can no longer rely on his status as a former favorite of the previous administration. I believe Robinson has the physical tools to be successful, but the mental inconsistency and lack of explosiveness at key moments are legitimate concerns. Peters maintains faith, but that faith comes with a very clear expiration date. Can Robinson regain the form he showed at the beginning of last season when it really matters? A bold prediction suggests that Washington might be considering a move for Amari Cooper. And I tell you this possibility makes more sense than initially apparent. Mo Moten of Bleacher Report believes Cooper could be exactly what the Commanders need to make the final leap. The logic is solid. Despite a tough season with Buffalo due to injuries, Cooper remains a technically superior route runner. His catch percentage improved dramatically from 45.3 to 62.5% after the trade from Cleveland to Buffalo. Now I ask you, what could a 5-time Pro Bowl veteran do in an offense specifically designed to maximize Jayden Daniels' talent? Dan Quinn knows Cooper well from their time together in Dallas in 2021, which would facilitate a smooth transition. I think Quinn's experience with Cooper could be the decisive factor if Washington decides to make an aggressive move. The reality is, Cooper remains available in the free market, which is surprising for a receiver who surpassed 10,000 career yards last season. His decline over the last 2 years raises concerns, but I tell you this, a veteran receiver with pre-established chemistry with the defensive coordinator could be exactly the kind of low-risk, high-reward move Adam Peters is looking for. Combining Terry McLaurin, Deebo Samuel, and potentially Amari Cooper, Daniels would have an arsenal of receivers comparable to any young quarterback in the league. Would Cooper be the final piece Washington needs to compete with Philadelphia and Dallas? In the NFC East, we reach the news that could define not just the 2025 season, but the immediate future of the franchise. Terry McLaurin is in the last year of his contract, willing to sit out practices until securing an extension, and I think Washington is facing the easiest decision in years. Tyler Sullivan of CBS Sports put it perfectly. This is an easy decision for the Commanders. McLaurin has been the face of the organization for years, producing at an elite level with questionable quarterbacks. 5 consecutive seasons of over 1,000 yards. 0 signs of decline. Now with Jayden Daniels, Washington finally has a real Super Bowl window. I tell you this directly. How can you let go of the #1 receiver of a team that just reached the conference championship game? McLaurin will turn 30 this season, but his playing style is based on technique, intelligence, and secure hands, not explosive speed that fades with age. The concern about his future production is legitimate, but I believe it's exactly the type of concern mediocre teams use to justify terrible decisions. Washington is no longer a mediocre team. They have a franchise quarterback, an innovative offensive coordinator, and an immediate competition window. The chemistry between Daniels and McLaurin was evident from day 1 of last season. A complete offseason together will only strengthen that connection. Now I ask you, are you going to bet on continuity with a proven receiver, or are you going to create unnecessary uncertainty at the most crucial moment of the Dan Quinn era? Adam Peters needs to resolve the situation before training camp. Every passing day without an extension is another day of unnecessary distraction for a team that should be solely focused on winning a championship. These 5 stories paint the full picture of a team at a historic crossroads. From fringe players fighting for survival to million-dollar decisions that will define a decade, Washington is experiencing defining moments. Do you believe Peters will make the right decisions with McLaurin? Can Robinson Jr. redeem himself in his most important year? Should Washington bet on Cooper to complement their offensive arsenal? Which of the 5 players at risk truly deserves a second chance? I believe. This channel represents more than sports news. We are a family of passionate fans who live and breathe every decision of this organization. If you value unfiltered analysis, honest opinions, and the perspective you need to really understand what's happening with your team, this is your place. Subscribe now because the coming weeks will be decisive for the Commanders' future. Let me know in the comments which of these stories concerns you the most and what you would do in Adam Peters' place. Your opinion matters in this community. And remember, hail to the Redskins!